When it comes to education, degrees that cost a lot of money and take a lot of time are no longer the only options. There are also what's termed as micro-credentials. These are typically online courses targeted at developing specific skills, where at the end of it, you earn a credential. These generally are in the form of some kind of certificate. But are these micro-credentials actually worth anything? Well, it just so happens that Coursera, one of the largest online learning platforms in the world, just dropped a major report recently talking about the ROI of these micro-credentials. And while the findings tend to line up pretty well with my own personal experience, having been a Coursera user for close to a decade, there are a few points that I think need a little bit of unpacking. So in this video, we'll cover whether employers are actually buying into this, what this means for your wallet and your career, and the role that AI will play going forward. And before I get into that, make sure to check out the links down below where I point you to the report that they've released. And of course, that can be your opportunity to explore what micro-credentials or certificates or any kind of learning exists through that platform. So with that said, let's get to it. So are companies actually taking these micro-credentials seriously? According to the 2025 Coursera Micro-Credentials Impact Report, the answer appears to be a resounding yes. It isn't simply a line on the resume that you add, but it can actually be a meaningful way to separate you from the competition. In fact, 85% of employers are more likely to hire someone with a micro-credential compared to someone without one. Not only that, 90% of employers are willing to offer higher starting salaries for candidates with micro-credentials. And we're often talking 10 to 15% more. Now think about that. Completing a shorter targeted learning program could directly boost your earning potential right out of the gate. And the best part of it is, it generally doesn't have to cost you a lot of time and money to do so, especially compared to a full-fledged master's degree. Now the caveat that I'll add here is that this situation is more likely to be the case for someone that already has experience in a given field. And then they go get a micro-credential to boost their job prospects in that same or a highly related field. Case in point, this was the example for me when I was a product manager at a major Fortune 500 hardware technology company. I had experience managing the business of personal computers, but I ended up taking some coursework in IoT, which is Internet of Things. And lo and behold, there eventually came an opportunity to be a product manager for our IoT devices. Now, having the product management experience and also having a good brand, all that was foundational. Then the coursework and the micro-credential helped strengthen the signal to the hiring manager that I had a legitimate interest in IoT, and now I have some working knowledge. This is a big part of what gave me an advantage. Now contrast that to an example of someone going from, say, a graphic designer to a financial analyst after just one short online course. That's a much bigger stretch and probably not likely to happen without getting more education or some related experience. But at least now you know employers are on board with the concept of these micro-credentials. But what does that mean for your actual career growth and your bank account? After all, when we make investments in ourselves and our education, we like to try to see some kind of return on that. And luckily, the report also has some really good figures in here as well. Because it's not about just getting the job, it's about leveling up once you're in it. The data shows that 28% of employees received a pay increase after earning a micro-credential, and 21% were promoted. Now, admittedly, there are probably other factors at play that led to people getting a salary increase or getting promotions. And it's also, I don't know quite the time frame from which they earn the credential to them getting the increase, but there is a pretty strong link between skilling up in these programs and then moving up in your career. Beyond just what you learn, you really have to think about these micro-credentials as signals. That's a term I alluded to earlier in this video, but these signals are signals to your manager, to other leaders, prospective employers that you're willing and capable of learning new things. And not only that, you're making the effort to do so proactively and on your own time. Now, what's also nice about micro-credentials is that they're more approachable than your traditional degree program. The cost and time commitment is substantially less, so if you're feeling a bit shaky about the future or adapting to new roles, but again, you don't want to spend the money and time for a degree program, micro-credentials in whatever subject that's relevant to you can be a great confidence booster. Now, let's talk about where all of this is heading. And a big part of that future is, you guessed it, generative AI. And the demand for that skill is huge. 92% of employers are more likely to hire someone with a Gen AI micro-credential than someone without. Now, what's even more interesting is that 3 out of 4 employers said they'd even hire a less experienced candidate who has a Gen AI credential over someone more experienced who does not. Now, in my opinion, I can see that being partly true. I mean, it is, after all, what came out in the survey, and that's how employers responded. But I don't know quite how true that statement really is. For me, it's not exactly clear what defines less experienced, but nonetheless, the takeaway at minimum is that if you have 2 candidates where most everything is equal across experience and formal education, and one of them has a micro-credential in generative AI, the company is going to go with the one with the credential. Bottom line here is, with the survey findings, this really means that generative AI needs to be a part of your learning journey going forward. And the best part is, it doesn't have to be a part of any degree program, because micro-credentials can fill that spot. And fortunately, Coursera has a long list of generative AI courses that you can take, so make sure to check that out after you finish this video. So we're seeing clear evidence that not only are employers embracing micro-credentials, but they may also be willing to pay more, because also it absolves them of having to invest their money training employees. And for professionals like yourself, this translates to more career opportunities, higher salaries. And with generative AI, those are skills you want to get up to speed on very quickly. All of this is a major shift in how we approach professional development through education. I've benefited greatly from it in my career, and I continue to benefit. But I want to hear from you. What do you think about micro-credentials? Have you taken any courses? Have they helped your career? Let me know down in the comments below. And since AI has become such a big focus, you might be wondering what courses are out there that are worth looking into. And it's not just Coursera, there are others out there. So you can check out my next video where I talk about some of my favorite options, one of which I did personally, but just some different options at different price points and at different levels of depth of AI to help you stay ahead of your career. With that said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you around.